G'day gamers, Ranger Tony here, back with another Neverwinter Nights 2 build video. Well, it's time. This is the quintessential namesake build. This is Ranger Tony build in Neverwinter Nights 2. This is an Archery Ranger build. And I had been alluding to this, but not actually explaining it, not actually saying it. But this is the build that I am going to use for a complete playthrough of Neverwinter Nights 2 on my channel. It took me a long time to decide that I wanted to do it as an Archery Ranger. I have done this. I have started playing the game multiple times as an Archery Ranger, and I always feel like there is a lot letting you down in this game and in most games when you do archery. But it does work well if you stick with it and you do the sort of build that needs to be done. Now, I'll talk about all of that during the build video. Let's dive right on into the build. Human, partly because I'm human, not going to lie, partly because humans get a good bonus. Now, I will say halflings make good rangers. But you will not be able to use a longbow. You'll have to use a short bow. There are some good short bows in the game, I'm not going to lie, but be aware of that. And if you're going to take a halfling, pick the strong heart, I think it is. They get an extra feat at first level, just like humans do. You won't get the extra skill, but you will get the extra feat. So that is something that I would consider doing. But I'm going to pick human. Neutral good doesn't really matter. You can pick anything. Personally, I'm of the opinion all rangers should be good. Fight me, I don't care. I think it's wrong. So if they're not good, they're just a fighter who lives in the wild and talks to animals, right? They're not a ranger, and they shouldn't get ranger skills. And as I said, fight me on that. That's my opinion. Choice of deity doesn't matter. Gwaren Windstrom is the deity of rangers. He is a fairly new deity in the Neverwinter Pantheon, or at least new by the time of this game. He is an ascended human who was a ranger and was a ranger of Melikai, I think, if that's how you pronounce it. Background. Natural leader is the one that I like when your charisma is 10 or higher, because it gives a +1 bonus to your companion's attack rolls and a -1 to your save throws, which is really nice to have. You could also go for Survivor is a good one, which has some of the skills. No, I said Survivor. It's not. Why is it not there? Oh, Wild Child is good for survival, and it has Hide and Tumble, which are nice. And I think Survivor as well, but maybe I don't have, or maybe that was only in the official campaign. Yeah, Survivor will be available if you have the Storms Here expansion, and it is good for a ranger. Search, spot, survival with, a little bit of fortitude. Doesn't actually make sense. They have to have a negative somewhere, but I would have thought rangers had really good fortitude. Someone who has a bonus to survival should get better fortitude, but hey. Anyway, enough of that. That's the choices I made there. Ability points. Dex is definitely going to be your crucial one. I went a little bit different for this build. This is very much a min-maxing sort of build. I don't really recommend it all the time, but normally I wouldn't recommend going higher than 16 in your dexterity, or your primary attribute, dexterity in this case, for any race that doesn't have a bonus to that attribute. So elves and halflings can definitely take an 18 there without a problem, because it costs them less to get there. But I wasted a lot of points to get that to 18. Normally, you would probably want a little bit more constitution there. Excuse me, but I'm not planning on being in combat much. I want to be in the back lines, shooting at things. So my 8 points of health or whatever it is I've got at the start is going to be 8 points per level is going to be it, and that's fine. Strength of 14, that gives me a little bit of extra damage with the bow. I think there is a bug in Neverwinter Nights 2 where it applies strength bonus to all bows, or long bows and short bows, when it should only do it to composite bows. I'm not going to talk on that, but a little bit of extra damage is always good. So that, and also carrying capacity, is what that is there for. Now, traditionally, you want a little bit of intelligence to get extra skills. Don't care, we get a lot of skills anyway. Charisma can be useful. Nah, don't need it as a ranger. And you don't need it in the game because you can get past all of those skills that use charisma in checks anyway. Wisdom. Wisdom is supposed to be a secondary skill of rangers. It is what controls your ability to cast ranger spells. Ranger spells suck. Let's just put it out there. I would take wisdom of 11 even, because I rarely use ranger spells. You get them so late. First level spells, sure, Magic Fang, a little bit extra damage to your animal companion. Entangle is kind of nice if you remember to use it. Forget heal minor wounds. It's, like literally putting a band-aid on a massive gash. It does nothing. So yeah, the ranger spells, even if you get all the way up to 4th level ranger spells, that by the time you get them, anyone else who's casting spells of any sort, or mostly divine spells, but anyone else who's casting similar spells has got something way, way better than what the ranger does. So yeah, you've lucked out here. Don't worry about it. So 12 is perfectly fine, more than we need for this build. We're not relying on our wisdom at all. I mean, it's nice for will saves, but that's it. All right. The skills that I have chosen. I have chosen hide and move silently, even though as a ranger I will probably never use them. Why? Well, the argument can be said that you can use them to scout out. And you're right, you can. You can use them to scout ahead. But you know what? Listen and spot work better to scout ahead, to look around corners and see what's in a room or things like that, than what sneaking ahead really does, in my opinion. And it slows down gameplay. I have to sneak ahead, see what's there, come back, and then we move forward as a group once we're prepared for what's ahead of us. Because there's no point attacking from stealth. I don't get sneak attack. That is something that I really think the game should implement, is that any character who has the ability to attack from stealth, whether it's invisible or whether it's, from hide and move silently skills, should get a 1d6 bonus. The minimum. They should get that as just a standard of, you have attacked from stealth. Someone did not know you were there and you attacked somebody, or it should be an automatic crit or something, right? But the game doesn't let you do that. So it's really kind of useless. As I said, listen and spot are useful. Search is useful to find traps. I always take lore if I can take it, because I don't want to have to wait to use items that are magical. I like to know what they are straight away. I can't use them until I know what they are. So I often have to wait until I can get back to a merchant who can identify it for me. Pain in the butt. Okay, not great. Survival is not an essential skill, but take it because it allows you to eventually pinpoint enemies on the map, the mini map, better than what you normally would. And eventually you get things like little arrows showing the direction they're facing and all that type of stuff once you get really good at it. So take it. Okay, feats. At first level, we are going to get weapon focus. Oh, sorry. First of all, we get we get tracking. We get, so that's, as I said, helping us with this whole survival thing. Tracking allows us to find things on the map better, and it gets better. We get better skills about that as time goes by. We can use all martial weapons and simple weapons. We can use a shield. We can use light armor. That's great. Natural Leader, we picked that earlier as our background. We also have to pick a favorite enemy. I'm going to choose outsiders first. So the Bladelings are considered outsiders. I think the Dark Dwarves, the Daugr that you attack you initially, I think they are considered outsiders as well. They might not be. And if they're not, no big deal. But I feel that outsiders for the official campaign is the way to go. Right? And we'll pick others later on. Now, I've picked in weapon-focused longbow. I'll talk about that in just a sec. Improved initiative because I want to be able to attack. I want to be the first one to attack with the bow, right? It just gives me all that advantage. I'm trying to attack as often as possible and get damage in from a distance before opponents do. It works really well against mages if you can take them down quickly from a distance. So that's where this build is going to shine. We're also going to take weapon focus in longbow. Now, you have some choices. Do not take light or heavy crossbow. You have proficiency in them, but ultimately you will only be able to do a maximum of, I think, 3 attacks per round with them, which is really insane anyway, because there is no way you can load a crossbow that quickly, right? The only game that ever got crossbows correct was the Pillars of Eternity series, where they actually made it so that light crossbows could be shot once per round and heavy crossbows had to be reloaded in one round and shot in the next. And even that is probably not as realistic as it should be, because rounds are only, well, at least in these D&D based games, rounds are only like 6 seconds. And I'm sorry, but you know, those crossbows in those days, there's no way you're reloading them in 6 seconds. Anyway, enough of that. If you are a medium race, so anything but gnome or halfling, take longbow. It is the better weapon. If you are halfling or gnome, take shortbow, because you won't be allowed to use the longbow. So if you take weapon-focused longbow, you've wasted it, all right? You will not be allowed to use a longbow because a longbow is too large for that race. The problem is that there are no outstanding bows early game. So by the time you get to, Neverwinter, you will have found 3 weapons which have an extra damage class on them. There will be the Bone Phoenix Morningstar that does an extra 1d6 of fire damage. There's the Astral Longsword, which does an extra 1d4 of sonic damage. And there is a light hammer, which does an extra 1d4 of shock damage. The best you will have been able to find or buy at that stage will be a +1 composite longbow. The only way you can get those extra types of like fire, frost, electrical, sonic damage in a bow in this game is to buy ammunition that has that extra ability on it. Now, That's a good and bad. You can buy that ammunition eventually, but not until you get to Neverwinter. And you will have those other weapons you will have already been able to use in missions before, in quests before you get to Neverwinter. It's not like you find them just as you're entering Neverwinter. No, you've had some of them for quite a while. You will not be able to get that extra damage from fire or what have you until you get to Neverwinter and can buy that ammunition. And then you've got to buy it. It's a limited resource. There are a small number of bows in the game that come with unlimited ammunition of a certain type. They're a long way off. Expect to be like 15 to 20 hours into the game before you'll see those. And I don't think you find many of them. I think you have to buy them, and they're expensive. So be aware. That is the way that I feel like you get shafted in this game if you're playing any sort of missile, ranged missile combat. But we're going to work around it. We're just going to push on through because you are doing extra damage. You're not, you are doing damage from a distance, so you're not getting hit as often. We'll survive. We'll get through it. Okay. Now, level 2, we have to choose our Ranger combat style, and we choose archery, which gives us rapid shot for free. Really nice. No use during the tutorial campaign when you get it, but really nice later on. At level 3, you will take point blank shot. That helps you in combat when your opponents get nice and close. So rapid shot just gives you an extra shot per round with a small penalty, -2 to hit. You can live with that. You've got +4 to hit from your dexterity, so you can take that and not really be too upset about it, right? Point blank shot means that it negates the -4 penalty for using a missile weapon in melee combat, and you get a +1 to attack and damage when the target is within 15 feet. So quite nice, and so you'll want that. Take that, it'll be useful. Level 4, we get our animal companion. I'm only going to talk about 2 animal companions because there's only really 2 that you want. The others are average at best. Some of them are terrible. The boar or the bear. The boar slightly outweighs the bear as far as how good it is, but take either one. They're great, right? They've both got really good hit points, really good armor class, do decent damage. They are meat shields. They're good at it. Any of the other ones, the panther, for example, you really want, if you're going to do a stealth ranger, then the panther will stealth with you. And he will actually get sneak attacks. Things like that. The wolf has a knockdown ability, but he's a bit squishy. It's not a big deal if the animal dies. You can recall them, but you can only recall them once per day / rest. So, and if I have just recalled my animal companion, I like to rest immediately so that I can, if he dies in combat, I can recall him again. So do that. We also get a bonus to Dex at level 4. Level 5. We can pick another favorite enemy. Pick undead. A lot of undead in this game, but even in any module, if you're playing any module in D&D as a ranger and you don't know what to pick as a favorite enemy, even from level 1, pick undead. So we're picking undead there. We get many shot as a bonus feat at level 6. I find something weird with this, and I think it must be due to the range that you can do it at. The first shot you fire in a round, you knock 2 arrows instead of one. Both arrows use the same attack roll. At -4 penalty, if it hits, you roll 2 damages. Extra damages are only applied, such as sneak attack or critical hits are only applied to one of the arrows. When your base attack bonus gets to +11, then you can make 2 attacks per round that way. Now, there's a couple of issues with this. It doesn't mention anything here about there being a range penalty on it, but I see a lot of the times I will click on it and it'll do nothing. And I'll click on it and click on it and click on it like mad, and it won't do anything. I wish it was a toggle like Rapid Shot, so that you could turn it on and then every round it would just do it, right? But it's not. You've got to say, do this. And I find a lot of the time I will click it and it will not work. And I don't know whether it is, I don't know why. I don't know why it will not work sometimes and other times it will. That's the only thing I'm going to say about it. But it is nice. It gives you that little bit of extra damage because it's completely unrealistic. I've said this before in other playthroughs where I've got this ability, Pathfinder Kingmaker, and this. It's ridiculous. You as an archer, you would never do this. But anyway. And this, super important, at level 6, you got your animal companion at level 4. When you got your animal companion, they're level 1. Right? You're level 4. So they've got very few hit points. You're going to have to put up with that until you get to level 6. Take Natural Bond then. Because Natural Bond allows you to increase the level of your animal companion by 3, up to your level. Now, it doesn't mention it here, but this is specifically for rangers so that their animal companion is finally at the same level as they are. It can be used if you dual class and you want to, so you've taken a few levels of Druid or a few levels of Ranger and another class, and you want to bump up your animal companion because your animal companion only goes up when you level in that other class, Druid or Ranger. So it can be useful for that, but for a Ranger, it is super useful because without it, your animal companion is always going to be 3 levels behind you. So here he's first level, here he's second level. Suddenly you take this, he's now 6th level. He's got a lot more hit points. He's attacking a lot better. You want that. Good, get it, take it. Don't take anything else at level 6. Level 7, we get Woodland Stride. This just helps us. You can move through wilderness terrain at an increased rate. It doesn't really do anything appreciative in this module or any of the modules in Neverwinter Nights 2. It's in the book. They probably do make it so that you run a little bit quicker than all of your companions, but it doesn't. It's no big deal if you were to get it or not. It comes as part of the class. Yay. I mean, the only thing it probably helps with, if you're a halfling or a gnome, you move slower than everyone else because you've got tiny little legs. This will help with that. You'll now catch up with everybody else. That's about it. Level 8, we're getting another point into Dex, and we're getting Swift Tracker now. So you're always tracking, and we don't get a penalty for movement for doing so. So we don't have to turn on the tracking ability anymore. It's always there. So back here, we got the track ability, which paints all hostile targets on the minimap, but you had to turn it on. I never turn it on. I just wait until I get to level 8, and then it's on, and it's like, yay, great, I can see all the enemies now. And it's really nice. Level 9, improved critical longbow. So that's the big problem with using longbows. If you've seen my Weapon Master build for Neverwinter Nights 2, or if you've seen me talk about criticals in any of the Pathfinder Kingmaker videos, or any of the Neverwinter Nights 2 videos. Normally, a crit only applies on a roll of 20 on the 20-sided dice, but some weapons can get crits on 19 or 20, and a few rare weapons can get 18 or 20. Longbows are one of those really annoying ones that are only on 20. Now, most weapons, not most, some weapons that only crit on 20 are also really good because they give you 3 times damage when they crit rather than 2, which is the default. Unfortunately, bows, short bows and long bows, are limited to 2 times damage. So improved critical is going to double the crit range. What does that mean? Well, we're going to go from 20 to 19 and 20. So rather than a 5% chance to crit, you're going to have a 10% chance to crit. So don't expect to be critting all the time with this build. This is not going to be a crit build, and there's no way to make it. You cannot use missile weapons with the Weapon Master prestige class, so don't try that as a way to make your crits better with the longbow. It will not work. It is just a fundamental thing in D&D games that longbows and short bows are not crit weapons as far as they're concerned. I disagree with that. Crossbows do have a crit range of 19 to 20, so light and heavy crossbows, 19 to 20, and they still only do 2 times damage. It is what it is. I'm not going to whinge about it anymore. Let's move on. We also get evasion at level 9. So reflex saves, we can now take no damage in rather than half damage if we succeed. Very nice. Level 10, we get another favorite enemy. I'm taking constructs at this point. I don't know that there's a lot of constructs in the game, but there is at least one. So I'm taking it. There may be better options for the official campaign. Another thing you can consider taking at this point is humans. There are a lot of human enemies. It's too late for it now, but if you think about the in Neverwinter, when you're coming across the Thieves Guild, the rogues, they're all humans. Unlike some other games where you would go out and find bandits or rogues and they would be, some like Pathfinder Kingmaker, for example. If you get ambushed on the road by a group of bandits, there's elves, there's half-elves, there's half-orcs, there's gnomes, there's halflings, there's humans, there's dwarfs, there's every race available. This game wasn't that progressive. All of the bad guys in Neverwinter are humans. So it is a valid thing that you could have taken back here at level 5. And if you don't think you want to take constructs here at level 10, take humans. It's not a bad option. Going on, we get, as a ranger skill, we get improved rapid shot. So now we get, we no longer get the -2 penalty that rapid shot gave us. So basically we're getting 1 extra shot per round, no penalty. So at this point, we have 3 ranged shots per round. It's turn on range shot, you're getting 4, no penalty. So I think the 4th one will be at the +7. I am not sure what it will be at, but there's no extra penalty added on, which is really nice. Level 12, take power critical for the longbow. I know it seems almost pointless because I said we're not going to get crits very often with this, but let's make sure that when we do, we can confirm them as quickly as possible. So power critical, whenever you do a crit, so whenever you roll that 19 or 20, now that we've got improved critical 19 or 20 with your bow, you then have to make a second roll to confirm that you actually do the critical attack, and it has to hit. So this gives you a +4 to that. So that is really nice. We're going to take that at level 12. Level 13, we get the ability Camouflage. This basically just improves our ability to be stealth outdoors, so we can stealth without slowing down. We can move faster while we're stealth outdoors. As I said, I'm really not going to stealth very much, but if you are going to do that, that's going to be helpful. 14, as Ranger, we get nothing. 15, we get another favorite enemy. This is where I'm taking human in this build, but you might want to take something else there. And there's not really many other builds that are going to help us too much as far as damage or help our animal companions. So we're going to take dodge. It is something that you could consider taking earlier. If you don't want to focus on the longbow, on the criticals for your bow, take it up here at level 9, for example. But, you know, level 6, we have to take Nature's Bond. You really should take point blank shot there. So if you want all of that, this is the first time you can take it. Other things that you could take there, you could take toughness. Well, actually, you don't need toughness. You've already got it as a ranger. So, yeah, dodge is probably your best bet there. 16, we get another dex bonus. So we are plus 20. We're at 22 now, plus 6. Really nice. Level 17, we get hide in plain sight outdoors. This allows you, if you are in combat, to hide in the middle of combat while you're outdoors. As I said, it doesn't help you unless you actually get a sneak attack. So, yeah. About all it does is, I said it doesn't help you. It does in one way. Your opponent will technically be caught flat-footed, which means you will get a +2, or is it +4? +4 bonus to hit. That's it. You're not going to do any extra damage, nothing like that. So, I mean, it will help, but it's not like it should be doing sneak attack damage, in my opinion, or it should be an automatic crit or something. Level 18, again, mobility. You're going to move around a lot in combat, so mobility is a nice skill to have. It allows you to avoid attacks of opportunity and get a +4 bonus against them when you're moving around. So anytime you move in combat, if you move past someone who is in melee combat, they will get an attack of opportunity against you. This will help. Again, if you don't want to go down the critical route with your longbow, take it here at level 12, and it might help you more. Level 19 Ranger, we don't get anything there except hit points, of course. Level 20, we get one more favorite enemy. I wasn't sure what to take here. I took Magical Beasts. That might be really wrong, but there might be something even better. We also get our last point of Dex there, which I think takes us to 23, which doesn't give us an extra to the modifier, but not bad. So that is it. 180 hit points is not huge, but it's not terrible either. We're getting 4 attacks ranged per round, 5 if we include our rapid shot, which you should. We're not caring about spells because they're pretty useless, but we're doing pretty good. And you're relying on your animal companion to be that meat shield for you. He's going to run forward into combat. He's going to tank and take the hits while you attack anything that's attacking him. Or, you know, attack the mages, attack the spellcasters in particular, attack the other rangers, attack the other, archers that are out there, or attack whatever's attacking your animal companion. Move around in combat if you need to, but you don't need to as much because you don't need to position yourself to get a sneak attack or anything like that. You're just send wood down range. Send those arrows down range. Try and find the good ammunition as soon as you can. And by good, I don't mean +1 arrows or +2. I mean arrows of fire or frost or poison. Anything that does XDX of, it's usually going to be 1DX of extra damage. If it does 1 point of extra damage, nah. I mean, yeah, if it's cheap, use it as your default ammo, that's fine. But you want those fire arrows, you want those frost arrows, poison arrows, piercing arrows, whatever, to do extra damage, because there are no bows that do that by themselves. So there are no bows that add that to normal arrows, for example. You will get bows that are +1, +2, +3 to hit, and you will get bows that give you extra bonuses. Some of them do give a little bit of extra damage through the might feet, which allows you to transfer some of your strength onto the bow. So if you do have gloves of ogre that give you extra strength bonus, you can wear them and increase your damage by a couple of points. But it's putting arrows down range that you want, not the amount of damage that they do. I mean, it does help, but you're not going to be able to, by adding 1 or 2 points of damage, you're not going to be able to do the big damage. It's the fire arrows, the frost arrows, things like that really help you. And I said there are a few bows out there that come with unlimited ammunition of a particular type. Use them, but you might find you've got to swap bows every now and then to go back to, your regular bow, because you don't want to use fire arrows against this opponent, which that one special bow did. They might be, protected from fire for some reason or whatever. So you might need to swap around a little bit if you use that. Whereas if you've got a bow and you can just swap arrows, that is handy. That's, mid to late game is where you're starting to think about that a lot. Early game, you will not have access to all of that. So yeah, it will also take you a while to get your first longbow. You will start the game and they will give you a short bow. Accept it, don't worry about it, just use the short bow. It does a little bit less damage, but you'll be fine. You probably won't be able to buy a longbow until you get to the Weeping Willow Inn. Or if there isn't one there, I can't remember. I think there is, but if there isn't one there, you will definitely be able to buy one once you get to Fort Lock. So, keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for the composite longbows that allow you to transfer those 2 points of strength damage. And then start looking for the various enchanted bows, and you'll do well. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this build. Remember, the link to the build will be down below. You can come and see it on this website and follow it yourself. I hope you enjoyed this. Keep watching for the playthrough of this build on the channel. I'll see you later. Thanks a lot. Bye now.